Well, a blessed day, grade 10 students. This video lesson contains significant information that can help us on how can we improve our ability to write and observe the use of formal definition. I do hope after this lesson, you will be gaining important notes that can help you not just in your writings, but also at different fields where it can be applied. So without further ado, let us now begin on how can we discuss the observe correct grammar in making definitions. So basically, we will be digging on writing definitions because this will be a significant note for us on how can we observe those correct use of grammar. Without further ado, let us now begin. Well, I have prepared a game for you which can help you to distinguish how how to analyze the definition of something, but the challenge here is that you will be arranging the term being defined. So the direction here is I will show you jumbled letters supported by its definition, and you will answer the appropriate word it shows. The term presented are anything under the sun. So are you ready? Let's begin now. So, okay, for the first jumbled word, it is the system of contrastive relationships among the speech sounds that constitute the fundamental components of a language. Okay, try to analyze the definition. Okay, so for the correct answer, it is phonology. So let's now proceed to the second one. So here we come. It is a word that in syntax conveys an action. So what is this term? That's very basic. Correct answer is verb. So let's now proceed to another one. So it is the science that deals with the logic of shape, quantity, and arrangement. So what do you think is this one? Okay, so for the correct answer, it is mathematics. So next one, it is a device that converts electrical energy into sound waves, and is worn over or inserted into the ear. So what is this thing? Well, the correct answer is earphone. Lastly, let's have this one. It is a system for transmitting visual images and sound that are reproduced on screens. So what is this thing? Okay, the correct answer is television. So thank you for your participation on that game, and we will now be digging onto our target objectives for this video lesson. So first we will be discussing the meaning of a formal definition. Second one, distinguish the parts of a formal definition. And lastly, observe the correct grammar in making definitions. So let us start. So let's begin with this one. What is the meaning of the term definition? So definition is the act or process of stating the meaning of a word or word group. As what I'm doing right now, I'm giving the definition or the meaning of the term definition. So it is the action or power of taking or of describing, explaining, or making definite and clear. Meaning to say, definition gives us an array of clear ideas to aid those vague interpretations that we are looking for something. So that's the meaning of the term definition. Let's now dig on to the formal definition. So it is based upon a concise, logical pattern that includes as much information as it can within a minimum amount of space. So meaning to say, formal definition gives us a clearer understanding of what something is and how can we classify itself within a particular type of something. And formal definitions, we are trying to make those terms in a concise manner, or we are giving our audience with the rule of brevity, mean to say concise, short but meaningful. So that's a formal definition. And also I may add, the primary reason to include definitions in writing is to avoid misunderstanding with your audience, to give the facts, to give what are the things that should be uttered or elicited unto them. And under formal definition, it consists 3 parts. What are these? First, the term or word phrase to be defined. The term is the one being talked about in the sentence, or in a simple way, the term is the subject in the sentence. Number 2, the class of object or concept to which the term belongs, where it classifies, where it belongs. So that's the class. The second part of a formal definition, to know where it we can put this thing into an account. So the class gives us an explicit explanation of where does it come from, or came from rather. And lastly, the differentiating characteristics that distinguish it from all others of its class. Differentiating characteristic from the term itself, differentiating what makes it different from the other term. And this can be a huge factor on how can we classify it, on how can we classify this term into its class. And these three things or 3 parts of a formal definition are interconnected within each other, because it gives us the complete, or it complements the formal definition to its account. So in order for us to understand it, let's take a look with this example. So the sentence here is, water is a liquid made up of molecules of hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio of 2 to 1. So the term here is the water, which is, as I've said a while back, the subject being talked about in the sentence, and then the class of that water, it is a liquid. And then the differentiating characteristics that made us different from other thing or other substantial things is it made up of molecules of hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio of 2 to 1. So that's how can we classify then those sentences or definitions that we are seeing on text, or we can see on some screens that we are perceiving. Next example, in order for us to understand more, we have here comic books are sequential and narrative publications consisting of illustrations, captions, dialogue balloons, and often focus on superpowered heroes. So the term here is the comic books. It is the subject being talked about. And the class are sequential and narrative publication. It is a sequential and narrative publications. And lastly, the differentiating characteristics. It consists of illustrations, captions, dialogue balloons, and often focus on superpowered heroes. And last example, astronomy is a branch of scientific study primarily concerned with celestial objects inside and outside the Earth's atmosphere. Again, the term being defined, astronomy, the branch of scientific study is its class, and lastly, the differentiating characteristic primarily concerned with celestial objects inside and outside the Earth's atmosphere. So that's the differentiating characteristics that made it different from other terminologies or lexical terms. So let's test your knowledge about the things that we have discussed. So for exercise number 1, distinguish the class. So this is the given sentence. A verb is a word that in syntax conveys an action. So you have to distinguish the class. Okay, so the class here is a word. So it is a word since it is trying to classify the term verb. So that's for the exercise number 1. So let's proceed to this number 2 exercise. So analyze this given sentence and distinguish the term. So the science that deals with the logic of shape, quantity, and arrangement is called mathematics. So the term for this exercise number 2 is the term mathematics. Why? If you will be analyzing the sentence, it describes or the term being talked about here is mathematics. What is mathematics? It is the science that deals with the logic of shape, quantity, and arrangement. It was just a different structure of sentence, but still mathematics is the term being talked about here. So for the last one, distinguish the differentiated characteristics on this given example or given statement. Television is a system for transmitting visual images and sound that are reproduced on screens. So the differentiated characteristic for this given text is that are reproduced on screens. It is the phrase that makes difference from other terms. And those are the things that we should consider in trying to analyze the parts of a formal definition, and it is a significant note to take on those things on mind, because it can help us on how can we apply this on different fields that we are in. So last thing to consider into mind is, or to consider into mind in writing definition, is analyzing its grammar. Well, it is important not just in this field, but in various things that we are dealing with. And grammar here in formal definition, we are considering how it was technically produce a good structure of sentence. And digging to basic one will engage us those kind of basic things on structure or grammar rules to easily understand or grasp the intended thing to be practiced in the structure of our definitions. So let us analyze this sentence. Comic books is sequential and narrative publications consisting of illustrations, captions, dialogue balloons, and often focus on superpowered heroes. First thing to see here is the subject being used and its verb. We are seeing here the comic books as the subject, and then the linking verb used is the term is. And seeing its structure or grammar rule, we can see that it should be interconnected within each other, and it agrees on the plural form or singular form of the subject being defined. So comic books is a plural term, and if we will be going back to the grammar rule, singular verb agrees to singular subject agrees to singular verb, and plural subject agrees to plural verb. So can we consider the verb is to use as the verb for this sentence? Well, the answer is no, because we have a plural subject and it doesn't agree to its verb. So to correct this sentence, we will just be eradicating the term is and replaced by the plural verb or plural linking verb are, and that can be the suited term or verb that can be used for this sentence. Or we can also put the sentence into the form like this. Comic book is sequential and narrative publication consisting of illustrations, captions, dialogue balloons, and often focus on superpowered heroes. So that's the thing that we should consider on analyzing the grammar of a sentence. And it is important to notice, most especially, the subject use or the term use, which should be agreed on its verb, or vice versa. That's something that we should essentially look on when trying to analyze or observe the correct use of grammar in making definitions. So okay, thank you for your listening. I hope you've learned a lot and get some significant things that you can use in writing a formal definition. So for your post-assessment, take a screenshot of this one and try to answer it on your own. And also it will test your learnings from the discussions that we have heard from the entire discussion. So here's the second one. Okay, that ends our video lesson for this day. Thank you for listening and God bless.